Welcome, Star Wars fans. Here we talk about all things Star Wars with rumors, facts, news, and random shenanigans. Get ready and strap into your Millennium Falcon. This is the Force Choke Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 67 of the Force Choke Podcast. Here today we got myself, Lewis. We got Sarah, Micah. How you guys doing today?
Good.
Awake.
Barely awake, right? We're missing Tim today. I think he had to get ready for work, and he said the noise factor is not conducive to having a Skype session. So we'll be missing Tim today. Of course, today we're going to be talking about the Clone Wars, particularly episodes 9 and 10. I know, Sarah, you kind of are jumping into the Clone Wars because you really haven't.
I watched the first couple seasons and then stopped, and then I think I watched part of episode 1 with you guys, or maybe by myself, I don't remember, of this new season, and then I watched 9 and 10, yeah.
Excellent. So that's what we're going to be focusing on, 9 and 10. So right off the bat, to kind of like catch you up, you know, before we started this, and just to let y'all know, right here on the side on the laptop, I'm going to pull up, I'm going to be playing without audio episode 10. So in case we, miss something.
We can hit the highlights.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Sarah, you actually had a question about season 7, or not season 7, but the episode that we're going into. So what was that question?
Right. It was, what's up with the split between the Mandalorians and the Mandalorians that Ahsoka has kind of teamed up with to help?
All right. Well, so my input on that is, and Micah, you can jump in here and either correct me or add to this. So the clones, not the clones, the Mandalorians that are with Ahsoka, and their leader were, so the leader of that group, her sister was leader of the Mandalorians. Maul actually killed her. When he killed her, he assumed the role of the top Mandalore.
Okay.
Right. So now they've broken. There's been two factions. The ones that want to retake over Mandalore and take it away from Maul being the, I guess, governing body or, master of the Mandalores.
Right.
And then the Mandalores that are with Maul saying, hey, this is the way of our people. If somebody who's not a Mandalore, not from Mandalore, takes over that mantle, they are still in charge because they beat
our leader. Right.
Yeah, they beat the leader. This is our new leader. So that's why you have this split with Ahsoka, and then you have this other group. Micah, do you have anything kind of to add to that, or?
Pepperoni.
I like pepperoni.
Bacon.
I'm kind of saddened. This will be the first Skype that we've had without Sarah starting off about not talking about pizza or actually eating.
Oh, I didn't have pizza. Dang it.
So
I let you down. I'm so sorry.
You have brought shame to you and your family.
I know.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Sorry.
So Micah, no, in all seriousness, did you have anything to add to that?
I mean, yeah, that was it for the most part. Just noticeable, the sister was Satine, which was love connection to Obi-Wan.
Right.
But he bitched out. It went the way of the good guys. Land him down, bud. He went the way, he listened to the council. He didn't go help them out, even though he did have that emotional connection. Yeah. I heard you mention that. I just want to make sure everyone knows that's what it was. And her sister, is Bo-Katan the one that's leading the Death Watch, Mandalorians, with Ahsoka, yeah. But I mean, yeah, that's essentially what's going on, and so we find at the end of episode 8 that Bo has been watching Ahsoka and enlist her help, and then so going into episode 9, that's
Okay.
when we see that come to fruition.
Right.
Because obviously, the Jedi are like, oh, Darth Maul, yeah, that's a bad dude. We've killed him once already. We should probably try to make it stick this time. But of course, they still don't want to help out, and that's why it's just Ahsoka leading the charge with him. But
Yeah. So does that clear it up a little bit for you there, sir?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Excellent. So then maybe we can the end of episode 9 of the Clone Wars, season 7. It was a trap.
Mm-hmm.
But for the trap was set and it sprung on the wrong Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Maul wanted Kenobi.
Mm-hmm.
Kenobi.
Off topic real quick. Have y'all seen Ray Park's Instagram? One of his latest Instagrams?
No.
There's a picture of I would have to say maybe about 20 perhaps Obi-Wan Kenobi action figures. They're all torn up, like the plastic and the back, the cardboard back.
Yeah.
It says Kenobi.
Wow.
That's funny.
I thought it was kind of funny. But anyway, so
I did see this picture. I just had no idea what it was.
Oh, okay.
Now I'm actually looking at it and I see it.
Yeah. But so
That's funny.
we ended off, like I said, episode 9 with Maul entrapping Ahsoka, and that's where we start off. Ironically, this episode says part 2. Did y'all notice that?
Yeah.
Right after it said
Oh,
Lucasfilm.
really?
I mean,
Yeah.
I wish it mentioned the last podcast as this is part 1. Well, yeah, because especially with the new title, I mean, that was them trying to this is where we're seeing it mesh to the movies.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if we'll get part 3 next week, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess technically we should, but I'm just wondering how long they're going to keep it like that, considering we only have 2 episodes left. But,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, brother.
I guess
Oh.
before we begin, I don't know, do y'all want to I don't want to say rate, but what kind of grade would you give this episode?
You fucking asshole.
Episode 10.
Yeah. Oh, we can do 9. Why not?
Okay.
Well, we can do both 9 and 10 because this is when it really started to kick off.
Yeah. Sarah, what would you give episode 9?
I would give episode 9 maybe like a 7.5 out of 10.
So a C?
What?
A C.
Yeah. A
She
C.
gives it a C.
It's passing. C's get degrees.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'll go next. I gave it an A+. I would have to say
Okay.
a
Well,
9.2.
excuse me then.
A 9.2 at the least.
9.2 is not an A+, sir. That's an A-.
Well, yeah, that's true. A-.
These are probably the best 2 episodes.
We'll take 9 first.
I've seen majority of all the Clone Wars. I mean, I think there's only a couple episodes that I've kind of skimmed over, like in season 6 maybe or season 5. But this is on par with some of the best episodes that they have.
I agree.
Now, I'm, as much as I might be a radical fanaticist, I don't know if I necessarily want to say that anything can have a perfect score. So I'll say like a 9.7. I really, really enjoyed both of these episodes almost equivalently. And I don't know if I can put one over the other because it's kind of like the same story, just like part 1, part 2, as I said. So I'll just give it a hardline 9.7 for both.
Yeah, I mean, maybe after it's all over, we can do a story arc kind of grade on it.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it's because I still haven't been able to like really get into the Clone Wars.
It's possible, but I mean, I know, like I was saying last time, for me especially, starting to hear some of these things that you've seen in the movies and you've seen in other
Yeah.
Star Wars stuff, and see where it really, like, um, we never saw the video on it, and then you finally
Yeah.
start to see, like, like the example I made last time is Ahsoka, talking in Rebels. The last time I saw Anakin, he was running off to go save the Chancellor, and then you actually get to see that. And like,
Yeah.
for me, it's like, pulling at my heartstrings kind of thing. It's like, okay, these things are just, they're coming together, things I never thought I was going to get to see. And so for me, I'm not trying to say I'm this type of fan or this type of fan. It's just it felt more impactful for me,
Right.
like, being that, Anakin's my favorite character, and it's with this story arc as such, but just seeing, like, these integral things that happened, and all of a sudden that made him become who he became. It's just, it was more than a one-dimensional, two-dimensional type thing when watching the episode, that I was able to be like, oh God, hell yes, finally, it's like, it's almost like getting that closure you never got. So
I hear you, and I think we're gonna get closer and closer to that closure you're talking about. You know what I mean?
yeah, sure.
These next one or two episodes, but why don't we start talking about what actually took place um, during this episode? We start off, like I said, we left Maul with Ahsoka. Ahsoka has her blades out, ignited, to face Maul, and then they have a conversation. How did y'all feel about that interaction there?
Sir?
Where he kind of like asked her to join him, right? Is that what we're talking about? Okay. I was like, but I knew she wouldn't do it. It was.
Wait, that's later on in the episode.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Then what are we talking about?
We're talking more about. I'm sorry. They're talking more about. Maul reveals to Ahsoka Darth Sidious, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I think, of course, she's in the dark, and I think I think he's just toying with her a little bit. Just wants to get to know a little bit more about her, who she is, where'd she come from, you know what I mean? Because he's wondering, why didn't they send Obi-Wan Kenobi here? You know what I mean? I think he's just really trying to extract information from her by giving her information to see if she'll talk. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
Micah?
I mean, yeah, I think that's essentially what it was. And also maybe even Maul just kind of like, this isn't what I planned, kind of thing, Well, I mean, kind of like I was saying, like, with everything that he had done, you would assume that Obi-Wan would have just jumped at the opportunity.
Yeah.
And or at least in his level of thinking, because we've seen what happened completely to Darth Maul, and it's just like he doubled down. He always doubles down on that side, in part the dark side to draw strength and everything, but he's only thinking through that emotion. So there's like, it's almost as if, like, no, there's no way in hell that he wouldn't show.
Yeah.
So to me, it also almost kind of seemed like he's also like talking out loud, like, what the hell am I gonna do? Yeah, okay, I guess I gotta kill you too, Ahsoka, kind of thing. But you could kind of tell, like, he started talking a little bit more when he brought up Anakin, essentially. And obviously, this is the first part of that conversation in the episode. But then the conversation stops because Ahsoka is able to press her button to signal her troopers to track her down to where she's at. So
yeah, absolutely. And then that's the point I'm at when that you mentioned right there. She kind of clicks her wrist comm, and they come running towards her, signal where the what do you call him? What did you call him, Sarah?
What?
The Mandalorian, the Darth, the
Mandalorians.
The Maldalorians.
What?
The Maldalorians. There you go. And so, yeah, the clones are going to try to save Ahsoka, and Maul busts out his double-edged lightsaber, tries to hit Ahsoka with it, and I don't think he thought that he was gonna, actually kill her at that point, because he says, "No, we'll save this for another time" or something like that, right?
So
he says, "No, not yet, not yet." So I think he knows that they'll have some kind of interaction later on. But it seems like Maul, after he came back from the dead, has tried to make this whole thing between him and Obi-Wan Kenobi a climax to where either he's dead or Kenobi's dead, and it seems like that's the means to the end with Maul.
Yeah.
And so Maul actually
he gives that ultimatum to Ahsoka later too. It's either I die or you die, right? Before they battle in episode 10. I'm skipping ahead, I know, but
yeah. No, I mean, yeah, basically. And I think that's what I was kind of, I guess, trying to mention, maybe not in so many as good words, but like he just has that level, that linear level of thinking. It's either this way or that way type of thing.
Right.
It's either I get what I want or I die. Yeah, I either get what I want or I die in the pursuit of it, type thing. So
yeah, absolutely. And then so at that point, they have that interaction. They kind of smash blades, and Maul's like, "Not yet." And he escapes, but he escapes with one of the older clones, right?
Oh yeah, Jesse.
Yeah, and so the Mandalores with Ahsoka chase after him, but what happens? It always happens. Darth Maul escapes, right? Poof, out of thin air.
Slippery, that one.
Yeah, for real, right? And then from there we go to a scene where Obi-Wan Kenobi is in a hologram form, and they got a map of the city, wondering where is it that Maul could be.
Yeah.
I really like this scene. I mean, it was really nice because Obi-Wan, he's like, I got shit to do, guys. He's kind of just there folded with his arms folded, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought it was really beautiful because they also talk about Anakin has other duties. Obi-Wan's like, I know you're asking for my help, but I got stuff to do too. I got to go, to Utapau to take care of Grievous. Also, at this point in time, I believe when they have this interaction, Obi-Wan's just like, I can't help. We can't send more troops. Anakin can't help because, the Jedi Council have stuff for him to do. And Ahsoka asks, well, why can't Anakin come? And so Obi-Wan Kenobi tells everybody in the group, hey, look, I need to talk to Ahsoka alone.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when he starts telling her about some of the things that happened in the events of Revenge of the Sith, which I thought that was really, really cool. Some of the things that he mentioned, especially like when he mentioned that Anakin killed Count Dooku.
Mm-hmm.
How did y'all feel when y'all saw and heard that? Sarah?
I mean, that's just what he did. But it was kind of interesting for Obi-Wan just to be so blunt about it and just tell her, yeah, he killed him. Like, this is what he did. And now he's spying on the Chancellor. And Ahsoka, you can tell she's unsettled about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, because I think he sees Ahsoka very much as the same as he would Anakin almost. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he has more of a connection to Anakin than Ahsoka would, but I really feel like, and I did love the Obi-Wan scene because it does kind of anchor this to the movie. It kind of tells you exactly what's going on, where exactly they're at, in the context of the movie itself. Revenge of the Sith, and what I was thinking is even the way he's talking, kind of like how Sarah meant it, like all blunt and all, it kind of really feels like Obi-Wan knows something's going on, and again, it's just kind of like he was taught the right way. He's supposed to be this and he's supposed to be that, and everything's gonna go okay, I guess, but I can't let my emotions go because I'm a robot. Like
He's not a rule breaker.
No.
Well, my point exactly. But he's not a rule breaker, but he doesn't speak with his emotion either. I mean, that goes against the Jedi ideology. And I think you can kind of really see that, the cracks are coming about. And even furthermore, that, with the things that are happening with Anakin, it's becoming even more problematic and even taxing more so on Anakin, because when Obi-Wan tells Ahsoka what the Council has asked Anakin to do, and even Ahsoka has the exact response that Anakin did.
Right.
You want me to spy on him?
Yeah.
He's a good person. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it's just that, because Anakin is like that. That's Anakin's Padawan, and she's, like Anakin 2.0 kind of thing almost.
Yeah.
In the sense of like, I mean, it was the same response. So we already seen, obviously her problems with the Jedi Council, being falsely accused of murder and branded as such a traitor type thing, and she walks away from the order as such. And just with all this stuff, is you kind of start to see that those parallels also come about, because it's like Anakin's now following the same path, but he will become what he's supposed to be. Like he's I don't know how to say that
Darth
better.
Vader.
Yeah, but it's just it'll kind of come along in the second part that we talk about with Darth Maul, but it's just for me, again, I like the fact that it gets anchored to the movie, but also too is I think it really kind of is telling that, again, Obi-Wan is acting without emotion, but he sees this potential divergence, this road ahead that may make a huge turn, and still it's like, no, let's trust in the Force and everything's gonna be okay type Yoda type scenario, which is just like, I don't know. It's hurtful to me because, again, Anakin's my favorite, and I think in part I like him so much because of his story arc, but also because he's meant for this big thing, and he just, not that he gets taken advantage of, but it's like you're expecting all this and you're not even like helping him. As a matter of fact, you're hurting him. You're expecting all this stuff while having to be confronted with extracurricular issues, if you will. And what do you expect for what happens,
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, Micah, because I mean, I love the Anakin and Darth Vader character, like I've mentioned many a time. One of my favorite characters in all of theater and literature and stuff like that. But do you think if Anakin would have stayed on Mortis, any of this would have happened?
He couldn't have stayed on Mortis, though.
No?
No. The whole point is that Mortis is kind of like a temporary world that it's not even really supposed to exist for the physical. Like, Mortis made itself apparent for Anakin to be there, kind of thing. Well, Anakin and Obi-Wan and Ahsoka actually too, but the whole thing is that I don't think that it's definitely not Anakin's terminus. I don't think there's any way that he would have been able to stay there.
Okay, no, I was just curious what you thought about that.
Okay.
So moving on, we kind of find after that whole interaction with Ahsoka and Obi-Wan, we cut to Maul actually interrogating and extracting information from was it Jesse?
Yeah.
The clone that he kidnapped, kind of in the same way that Kylo Ren did to was it Poe Dameron when he was extracting information.
Yeah.
He tried to do the same thing to Rey. So I thought that was kind of cool. It kind of connected a little bit to the sequels in a way. And then from there they cut to they talk to, I guess, the Chancellor of the Mandalores. He's in prison right now. And so Ahsoka and the Mandalores go to pay him a visit to get some information from him to see exactly where Darth Maul is located, because they need to bring him to justice. And in turn, Maul actually sends off one of his own guys to assassinate him. And he seems very cocky, like, hey, I'm the one of the top dogs here, so back off. And when he does that, he gets assassinated. And he has a very short interaction with Ahsoka, and Ahsoka is like, I think she asked him something. It looks like she's asking him, what did Darth Maul want with Obi-Wan? And then she asks him, he's looking for somebody else. And so in his dying words, he says Skywalker. Yeah. So, which is odd, because those were Yoda's dying words too, right? Or last word, Skywalker. I thought that was kind of intriguing there. And then so a chase ensues, right? They're after this assassin. A lot of action here. This is a lot of action scenes in this episode. What did y'all think about the chase scene, some of the action scenes? I know Sarah gave episode 9 a 70.
75.
75. Okay.
75. It was good.
Don't cheapen those 5 points.
It was good. Shut up. It's still passing. No, I mean, I enjoyed it. Again, it's just, I think, I don't.
Is it that because it's animated?
Yeah, it's not my cup of tea. That's all. And I enjoy the story. Like, I thought, whenever Anakin gave her lightsabers and I'm skipping ahead again.
Yeah.
No, actually, you're going backwards, but
I am going backwards. Oh God, everything just blends together.
And she's only seen like 2 episodes too. This is
Stop! Stop! But no. When he gives her the lightsabers, that was so sweet, and that was again before. But I like y'all said.
I think that summarized it. And they said,
movies. Yes, he's telling his own story. It ties in with the movies really well, and it kind of, dude, stop. Thank you.
He's putting in his 2 cents. It's horse shit.
I loved it. Give it 95. Mom, what the hell? No, but I enjoy the story. I think it's just like you said, the media that it comes through. I would like live action things, but that's just me.
Yeah.
I think I have probably been one of the biggest opponents of animation type media.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a,
You're correct, sir.
I'm a diehard live action.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I can still see, past my arrogance.
Arrogance.
I know, God. No, it's not. I mean, I'm not saying it. I'm not saying that I don't like it because it's animated. I just connect to it less.
Sarah, this is Star Wars.
I know, Micah. I know that it's Star Wars.
She covered her face.
It's a classical look of shame, my dear.
Yes. And then she went to the classic graduation pose.
Look, I did it, okay.
Because y'all know that I have tried to watch this first several seasons of Clone Wars.
I wasn't there, so I don't know.
And I told you. I told you guys.
Yes, this is true. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's
Okay, so
nothing
that's
wrong with-
why that's why my grade is low.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the story,
Yeah.
and that's where all of the points comes from. And it's even though
For-
it is animated, it does have like really good detail.
Yeah.
And like the action scenes are great. Like
Yeah.
Maul's face, I don't know if y'all seen like the detail in Maul's.
I'm sorry. I'm just thinking when you said it has really great detail, I'm like, yeah, you don't want blobs with lightsabers fighting each other.
Oh
Well,
god.
no, you know what I mean. Like
Louis, you
the
make that a thing. Two blob.
two little chicken nuggies fighting with lightsabers.
Oh my god.
No, but
Great detail.
shut up.
Shut
But you know what
up.
oh my god.
I'm sorry.
Shut up. No, never. I don't even know what I was talking about. Whatever. Forget about it. It's fine.
It's okay. It's not important. Never mind.
No, I was asking about the action in these two.
Yeah. It's great. I
Great
like it.
detail.
I like great detail. It's not blobs chasing after each other.
So let's revert back to what's going on in this episode. We kind of derailed there just a little bit. So from the moment that we were talking about to what I'm looking at right now is part of the Death Watch. The Mauldalorians are walking down in the tunnel area, in hiding, sort of, and two of them are having a chit chat, and one of them's like, "What's going on?" The other one is like, Maul is telling the I guess crime families
Mm-hmm.
that they need to go into hiding. And we see three heads of the crime family. One is the Pikes, which we just got through seeing with the Martez sisters. Well, Micah and I don't know. I don't think that's there.
No.
Right. So in the previous episodes leading up to 9 and 10, we see a lot of the Pikes. So the head of the Pike syndicate is there at this meeting, and they're all in hologram form.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is from the Black Sun Syndicate, and their syndicate is mostly around Nar Shaddaa, Tatooine, in that area of the galaxy. And then we see another figure who looks eerily, and I have it paused right now, to Dryden Voss.
Okay, that makes sense now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because there was a third person. To
Well-
me, that's who it looks like.
It was just like I figured, because when I first saw it, it was in passing, but or I mean that figure, because it was real quickly. I just thought, like, and I know it's not him, but I thought eerily similar to General Hux, and I'm like, well, that's not possible.
Yeah,
But General Hux's character looks fairly close to
Mm-hmm.
Dominic Green or Gleason is fairly close to Paul Bettany, who plays Dryden Voss
Yeah.
on Solo movie. Solo.
Let me
So-
give you a quick shot of that if y'all want to check it out. I don't know if
Yeah.
y'all be able to see that.
It's a little grainy, but yeah.
Little grainy.
Yeah.
Oh, she needs more detail, Louis.
Let me get closer.
Stop. Oh my god. But that would make sense.
Yeah, that would definitely make sense. That's a good point. I like that. I remember someone. Well, I saw like real quickly on Twitter, someone was trying to say like, is that a you know what? Maybe they did say Dryden Voss. Never mind. Don't listen to me. I don't know why when I read, I was like, I thought someone was trying to say it looked like Master Sifo-Dyas. So like, dude's dead. No, it
Yeah,
doesn't.
he's dead.
Yeah.
Guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
But
people
maybe
can
they did
come
say
back from the
Dryden.
dead, okay?
Hmm?
Kidding.
Maul. I mean, Maul
Yeah.
did technically.
Mm.
Yeah, you forgot about that, Sarah.
No, I knew that. That's why I said it.
Lando, enough.
Yeah, Lando, enough.
Hey, at least you barely heard him. Beanie's
I
going
know,
crazy.
being loud.
So yeah, that happens. Yada yada yada, and then we come to the next, the final battle, if you will, of this episode.
Well, yeah. Well, they're still in the tunnels, and Maul is kind of telling them, y'all shouldn't be hiding, here in the sewers. Y'all should be out, battling it out,
Like, as warriors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
very
exactly.
very Spartan type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
promise you, either you win or you die kind of thing.
yeah,
But
and
you'll die
honor.
in a great battle. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I thought that was really actually really cool the way that he did that. Uh, he got them charged up, right?
Yeah.
Ready to go fight and put their lives on the line, which is what Mandalorians do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It just seemed kind of sinister when he was doing it. It's like, oh yeah, it's gonna be a great battle, buddy. I mean, if you die, haha.
I'm gonna go out for cheeseburgers while you do that.
Have fun. I'll
Yeah.
share my fries with whoever lives.
Hmm.
But he did. That was a powerful speech for them to just get them going.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like at this point, Ahsoka and her group are, just got a view of the entire city. Um, and they feel like something's going on. They move into to have a discussion with her, and it looks like Cody. Is it Cody or Rex? I think it's Rex.
Yeah,
That's
Cody's
with
not
her.
with him right now.
Yeah, Cody's elsewhere. So Rex, and then they go into a hallway. Doors open up, and Maul is on this big old the Mandalorian throne with Jesse, and man, they have a interesting conversation here
Mhm.
by the looks of it. So I mean, Maul just like shows up whenever the f he wants to, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's a G. You're just hanging in that chair, like, kick up my one leg and be like, "This is mine."
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, what did y'all think of Maul at this point in his life? Because we see him later on in Rebels, and we can talk about that another time. But he's totally different from the Phantom Menace
Mm-hmm.
to
He's kind of like F everybody. Like he knows that he can kick ass, and like in the Phantom Menace, he was kind of quiet and just doing, what he was told and going along with that. And now he's like free to do whatever he wants, and he can.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's, in part, like, what makes his character, interesting. Because as I said it before, like, I mean, the good and the bad things of it, I mentioned the bad before of him having just a very linear, short-sighted, single-minded type,
Absolute.
way of thinking, as in he wants one particular thing. Because let's not forget also at this point, he has already been killed, more or less, or at least half of his body has been taken.
Yeah.
He is known that his master essentially just said, F off, I'm done with you.
Yeah.
You're part of my plan. You executed your part.
used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And also that he's confronted again by his master in earlier Clone War episodes, of which killed his actual brother.
Mhm.
Oh, damn.
So at
Yes.
this point, the simplicity of his nature is just that, is that, okay, I have a few things I want to accomplish. No point in messing with anything else. So at this point, he wants Kenobi, and and they even mentioned that. I mean, it's at the point of what we're talking about in the timeline of the story. It happens here in the next minute or so. But as he's talking to Ahsoka, or I mean, I'll get to it here in a second. You start seeing explosions happen outside, and he knows he's going to be talking to Ahsoka, so he essentially looks over at the other troopers and says, "Shouldn't someone be taking care of that?" Because Rex left with Jesse. Bo-Katan's still there, but Bo-Katan has to leave to address the battle happening outside. So then it's just Darth Maul and Ahsoka now. And to get to that point, that's when Maul even confronts Ahsoka and tells her the revelation. I only started all this shit assuming that it would have brought out Kenobi to get to me. So
Yeah.
again, you have to kind of appreciate the simplicity of Darth Maul's character at this point, is because he has one objective in mind, and he's going to do whatever it takes, including taking over Mandalore and starting, proxy war in the middle of a larger war,
Yeah.
just to get one person in mind. In this
Do you
case,
think that,
well,
you think-
actually, sorry, two. Really, Obi-Wan, but he does speak of wanting Anakin because he's now aware of A vision? Did you say he had a vision?
That yes,
So, okay, it was a vision. Yeah.
yeah.
To
It was a
what's
vision
to
or
happen?
dream. Yeah,
Because that's when Ahsoka's like, well, what do you want with Anakin?
yeah.
He's all of this. He's the key to all this, or whatever he says.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm curious, and I don't know what y'all guys think, but do you think that Obi-Wan killing Obi-Wan was the main objective, but on top of that, if he were to have killed Obi-Wan for his own survival, that's why he took over the Mandalores and created himself as head of the crime syndicate in order to
Oh, stay
help,
like, yeah.
kind of staying that other step ahead of
Yeah.
this empire that was coming,
Mm-hmm.
at least have some kind of protection against them, or to work with them later
That's a
on.
good thought. That's a good idea. Yeah.
What,
Or
what
just to gain that power, really. Don't you think?
Are you asking me now?
Well, whoever.
Oh, I
I think that's a great
I don't-
idea.
I don't know. I kind of don't see it that way. I'm not saying that that's the case, and I'm not saying I'm right, but I kind of see it, that this is all a means to an end. He builds the syndicate. He builds this collaboration of crime syndicates to advance his objectives. That's kind of what I feel like,
Mhm.
Of killing Obi-Wan.
in part, because I think whenever he goes to, I guess, I mean, we obviously wouldn't know. Say if he was successful, what would he do with his life afterwards?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe he would still kind of just do whatever the hell he wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But at least in the scope of where we see him at right now, it seems like all of it's simply with him building a network, him building an empire,
Mm-hmm.
in the pursuit of getting Obi-Wan Kenobi.
That'll get enough of his attention that, hey, I got to do something about this
Yeah,
personally.
yeah. I mean, especially
Yeah.
with him being the Jedi Master, him being on the Jedi Council. If you
Hmm.
hear some little skirmish going on over here, Obi-Wan Kenobi's not going to intervene.
Yeah.
Right.
You know-
But if it's like a crime syndicate, oh yeah, okay,
It's like a full force with force has to be met with it.
yeah.
Hey,
Well,
you have this empire going on over here. This rogue group of very very powerful, influential people spreading chaos and killing innocents type thing. We probably need to address that, other than just
Yeah.
like, oh, this random person died and he said it was Darth Maul. No, I don't
Yeah.
believe you. You know, so
Yeah. So let's go into Fantasyland just a little bit, just a tad, just a touch. We're gonna stick our toe in the water.
Louis,
Micah kind of brought it.
you live in that goddamn place. You bathe in it. Don't even just a toe my ass.
Oh God.
See?
What do you think Maul would have done had he captured and killed Obi-Wan Kenobi with this crime syndicate?
I think he probably would have kept going. Cause like, or you think he's like, I'm done. I'm gonna go into hiding now. I'll see you later.
Because it seemed like I don't know how much of a relationship he had with Kira, but from the Han Solo movie, seemed like they had a deep connection there. Even if it was not romantic, but maybe almost like she was some sort of Padawan, which Maul seemed to be looking for over and over. It's like a reoccurring theme for Maul. You know what I mean? Trying to find that Padawan that maybe will help him rise to levels that maybe perhaps he wouldn't have on his own.
Maybe, yeah. I just don't know. Like, we look at some of these stories and we're like, oh, that person's a reluctant hero. But it's almost like he's the reluctant bad guy. It's like he has something he wants to do, and he'll do what he has to further that narrative, making him the quote unquote reluctant bad guy. Because I mean, we've had this conversation before. It's kind of like, are the Jedi good or are the Sith good? It's a matter of perspective type thing. And as far as he knew, at least in the case of the Phantom Menace episode 1, that he was a Padawan. He was learning from his master, and they need to do this thing, and they saw the Jedi as the enemy. And what is it? Doing something as a means to taking them out, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just wonder. It's just like it's hard, and the reason I'm saying that is because I think for me it's just kind of hard to figure out what he would do after the fact, because it's like his whole unfortunate, because I think it's a great story and great character. It's just as fortunate as it is he was only written in mind of pursuing one avenue, which was vengeance.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't see anything. I just don't see anything for him without having that one striving goal. Because after he has that, it's like he's defined by, because every action he makes is in pursuit of this. So what does he do? What is his life of meaning if there is no meaning because that one thing is over? And I'm just trying to figure out what that would look like.
And it could be that maybe he would delve into almost a depression-like state.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Maybe like purposelessness.
Yes. Maybe he'd even get a little pot belly from you know what I mean?
He would make model TIE fighters,
Yeah.
X-Wings. He'd find a hobby.
Yeah. What would be Maul's hobby? Sarah?
I don't know.
Roasting younglings by the fire.
Oh, yeah.
Damn.
I was thinking like woodwork or
Fruit
something.
Ninja. He would just cut things in half all day. Fruit Ninja.
Oh, Jesus.
No? Okay.
What do y'all think, on a serious note, what do you think Maul would put on his toppings for pizza?
Oh, Jesus.
Pineapple.
God,
He would be
no.
No? What do you think, Micah?
He'd have a spicy pizza.
I think so.
Fuck yeah. With all the hot, like, crushed red peppers and roasted tomatoes and spicy stuff.
Mm.
Spicy stuff. On a serious note, he asked what's on his topping. Pete Toppers. So let's get back to the episode.
Yeah, so Ahsoka and Maul are in this grand, I guess,
Throne room, I guess.
throne room. Yeah, that's exactly right. Mandalorian throne room, and they're chit chatting, and while they're chit chatting, bombs start going off, and some action, outside, which sounds almost like a battle is ensuing outside of the area that they're talking, and the action seems like it's gonna resume again. You know what I mean? That's why I was asking y'all, what did y'all think about the action in these two stories? Because it seems like you get content, action, and it seems split up, to me, in my opinion, very well. And at this point we see just a whole bunch of Mandalorians flying in, battling it out with clone troopers. It shoots back to Maul having interaction with Ahsoka. Maul's just like overlooking, like, oh look, this is what I wanted to happen. Here's my plans coming through, even though I don't have Kenobi here. This part of my plan is working, according to what I foresaw. Which that's a lot of Star Wars, right? You foresee something happening, you bring it to fruition, and it comes to its head or its completion. Yeah. And so I think this is the point where Maul is kind of like, look, we're at a point where the Jedi are going to fall. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. Mm-hmm. The only way, the plan is in place. The Jedi are going to be no more, and this new threat that's coming up, the Jedi cannot beat them. But you and I, if we join together, we can beat this new force. Mm-hmm. Once again, Maul kind of reaching out, asking for somebody to be his Padawan, and him be him being their master. And he's kind of almost at this point begging her do you think that that is genuine, that he wants her to join him? Do you think that that's what he was going to do to Kenobi?
I don't think he would
no.
have done that with Obi-Wan.
No way.
No, he would have just destroyed him and
Oh yeah.
business. So at this point, he sees Ahsoka as a possible apprentice, because we see this episode is called Phantom Apprentice.
Mm-hmm.
So how do y'all feel about that interaction between them at this point in time? You know, and while they're talking and chit-chatting, you know, there's people dying in the streets of Mandalore right now, you know, clones battling out with Maldalorians, and, you know, just tanks and rockets and all kinds of stuff going on outside of this place.
I mean, I think it's an interesting point that you bring up, Lewis. The title is The Phantom Apprentice. And so who are we talking about, right?
Yeah.
Well, it has to be Ahsoka. It has to be. And I think it makes it even more particularly really amazing story writing is because, yeah, Maul extends his hand out and saying, join me, and we can stop Sidious. We can, you know, Jedi are over, but help me stop these other people type thing. And it's like she's choosing her master now.
Yeah.
Who do I want to follow? Do I want to take on, you know, almost like the apprenticeship of Darth Maul and follow him, or am I still going to have my loyalties to, you know, Master Skywalker, to Anakin Skywalker, her original master? Not so much in protecting the council, but protecting him, you know, following his teachings type thing. And it comes to the point like where, yeah, she accepts Maul's proposal, right?
It feels that way. She asks him, right?
She said, well, no, she joins him. She says, I'll join you, but then she asks the question type thing.
She says, I will, but you have to answer a question for me first.
Exactly.
So look at Sarah's face like,
you ever missed this? I did not get that. No. Maybe I was just in my head like, oh fuck no, she's not gonna do it. Like,
yeah, no, she says yes.
Yeah, she does. She says, join you, but you have to answer one question for me.
What is Anakin Skywalker to you?
Yeah.
Basically.
And then that's when, yeah, go ahead, Micah.
Well, that's when Maul says he's the glue to everything. And they continue the conversation a little bit further, essentially saying that he pretty much says it. I saw it earlier this morning because I crashed late last night. But he essentially says that Anakin will become Sidious's new apprentice.
Yeah, he
right.
He literally spells that out.
Okay, I mean, because that's what I figured it was, because I know what happens next, but I was trying to figure out how exactly he said it. But I guess he says it like that, and then that's why she, like, kind of the light bulb goes off. No, now I know you're bullshit, you know, because like there's no way he would do that. Maul's telling the truth.
Finally, right?
Yeah. You don't believe me?
Yeah, it's
I'm sorry, can I help you?
You just destroyed Sarah.
I know. I need to rewatch that. I don't know. What was I watching?
You know, sometimes
I don't think she would have gone through with it though.
You know, I don't know.
Well, think about it. Go ahead. Sorry, my bad.
No, you know, going back to what Sarah said, you know, sometimes you know somebody so well, when you hear that comes out of their mouth, you don't even. It's like kind of like
register.
Yeah, and it's almost like you're lying to yourself, because you're like, I know I heard it, but I'm not gonna hear it.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh God.
I don't know, and I think that was really cool, because Sarah was just like,
no. I mean, I was also making breakfast too. But
okay, well, maybe that's.
So you didn't even watch it? It was just on in the background.
I watched it. No, I was facing
terrible Star Wars fan.
Oh God.
Speaking of that, did y'all know today is Kalachi day? Did you make kolaches for breakfast?
No.
I don't care for
Kolaches are a pain in the butt.
But continuing on with this episode.
Wait, did you make kolaches today?
I cannot confirm or deny that kolaches were made.
Wow, okay.
So the answer is no.
Yeah, no.
I heard on the radio that it was, but
No, but yeah, I mean, okay, don't get me wrong. I don't think that Ahsoka would like taken his hand in that forever, but
No.
for the next thing, Sarah, it wasn't like Maul is now my supreme master type thing, but she was going to temporarily team up with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think she would have teamed up with him momentarily, maybe to see a little bit more what's going on, or maybe even to trick him into, into a trap. You know what I mean?
Maybe I could see tricking into a trap, but
yeah, tricking into a trap.
I don't even think that's the case either, though, because Ahsoka doesn't think like that. Ahsoka's very blunt in how she responds and acts. I think she simply sees it as, he's gonna help me to take down the enemy of my enemy is my friend type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she realizes there's a larger threat in loom, and so I think that she's gonna legitimately help him out. Now that's not to say that she can't come up with something later on, but the intention at the moment of her accepting his hand in this new deal type thing, I think she was all on board with it.
Yeah. And so at this point, they began a lightsaber battle, right? Because Ahsoka's like, "You are nuts. I'm not hearing any of this." And so Ahsoka ignites her blades, and they begin lightsaber battle. And during that lightsaber battle, a big explosion happens. Once again, Maul gets away, right? And then they show a few battle scenes, and then Ahsoka goes out of that throne room, looks elsewhere, and notices Maul is way up in the rafters of some other building, and she pursues him. And there's all kinds of like I don't know, what do you call these, like railings? Looks like railings to this building, and where they continue their lightsaber battle. Interestingly enough, I don't know if y'all knew, but they used stop action motion capture for Bray Park for a lot of these scenes. I don't know if y'all knew that.
Did they?
Cool.
That's fucking
That's
awesome. No, I had no idea.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's why it looks so authentic. I don't know.
They put in time on this one, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they did. They really did. So I think that was really interesting. Little fact there. But at this point, the Ahsoka and Maul are battling it out on, it almost looks like, when they're creating a building and you see like these, I guess, I don't know, what do you call them?
Like
railing.
It's a railing system of some sort.
Metallic railings. And so at this point that I'm watching right here, Maul has knocked out both of Ahsoka's, after they've been battling a beautiful battle, lightsaber battle. He's knocked out both of Ahsoka's lightsabers from her hands, and he's cut one of the railings. So the railing is tipping over, and so is Ahsoka, even though she still has her footing. And Maul very confidently flips over her, takes a high ground, and asks her, "This is your last chance, right? I want you to join me." And so, ironically enough, the clones look up at this point, notice, hey, we need to go help Ahsoka. And what do y'all think? At this point, I was like, Ahsoka's gonna, I don't know what she was gonna do at that point. What did y'all feel she was gonna do?
I thought she's just gonna do a backspin, and he was gonna take off because the ship was right there waiting for him.
Yeah.
Because we know they both live at this point, so it's just kind of like, what's gonna happen?
What's gonna happen, right?
I thought she's gonna be like, oh, yeah, let me just backspin out of this baby. I don't have my
Yeah.
saber, so I can just at least run. And he's like,
Yeah.
I gotta go.
To run to fight another day, right?
Yeah.
And instead, Maul, I guess, like loses his footing, and they struggle for the lightsaber, and Maul is falling. Ahsoka actually saves him. The clones come and capture Maul, and then take him away. Right?
Just kill me.
Yeah. Do you think Maul wants to die at this point? Really?
Well, I don't think him being captured has any part of his plan. So I mean,
yeah.
I mean, it's kind of what we talked about. Like
it's absolute.
Either I get all or I get none.
Right.
Yeah.
And if I'm gonna be captured, I'd be damned if I'm gonna be captured. So just kill me. Just
yeah.
Get it over with.
Yeah. Very good. And then Ahsoka looks up to see where the ship was that was going to get Maul out of there, and that ship is now gone. And then that ends the episode right there.
Kenobi. Sorry.
So, what did you guys think of this episode? Last episode, Sarah gave a 75. Micah, you gave it a 97. I gave it a 92. What did y'all feel about this episode entitled Season 7, Episode 10, The Phantom Apprentice?
I'll give it an 82.
82?
82.
That's better.
Yeah.
You like this? You like this one better than the previous one?
Yeah. I think this one was more engaging than the previous one, to me.
Okay. Micah?
I mean, yeah, I love it. I said 90.
Oh yeah, for both.
Yeah, you did. You did. Okay, so I'll give I gave this one a 93, very close to the last one. I think they were just about of equal. I gave this one a point more because of some of the things that they connected to Revenge of the Sith. I really enjoyed that. I really thought the lightsaber battle between Maul and Ahsoka was very beautiful in a way. So very detailed, oriented, especially with Ray Park lending his skills there.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I didn't know that they did that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I thought that was really, really awesome. Very interesting. What are y'all expecting for the next episode?
Madness.
I'm just I'm wondering how they're gonna do it, because and I think that's in part why I've enjoyed these last two episodes even more, is seeing more or less exactly where it connects to the movies, where we know where it's gonna happen in the movies. So we know what's gonna happen soon next. We're gonna have to see Order 66 come up.
Yeah.
And
maybe they'll sorry.
No, you're fine. So he essentially divided half of the 501st to go help out Ahsoka, and we know they've suffered probably a lot of losses, but it seems as if that battle more or less is done on Mandalore. But it's just, it's going to be super interesting to see Ahsoka, and we know kind of like Ahsoka eventually just more or less runs away, because at the beginning of her book she's hiding on, like trying to stay away from the Empire as much as she can. Seeing how that actually comes about, it will be interesting. But the one I'm trying to get to, and I keep on dancing around, is what it's going to look like on screen, or at least in the episode. The realization, because Rex, they know about the implants, and at this point Rex has already taken out his implant, right? Because he sees what's possibly happening, Lewis. So I'm just curious what it's going to be like. Because we saw Obi-Wan saying, I got to go to Utapau, right? To fall down Grievous, which we know what happens on Utapau.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen with the remainder of the 501st under Rex when he hears Order 66 has happened, all the clones have turned, oh my God, that was a real thing, and they killed all of our Jedis, they killed all of our generals. And like, are we going to get to see what happens to Rex in the context of the Clone Wars when he decides to take off? Like, people he was super close to, like Commander Cody. What? You just tried to kill Obi-Wan? What? You know what I mean? Just seeing this whole like implosion happen in front of and to be curious to see how far they go into it with Anakin, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just shit's about to get super hairy, even for an animated show. It's about to be like, oh, what the fuck's going on? You know, so it's gonna get ugly. But so long as it's detailed.
Yes.
I'm sure it'll be
the detail.
Details.
Did you see the details in General Grievous? I mean, we only saw him very, very briefly, but
he almost looked identical.
I know, for real, right?
Like it was very clean, you know. I mean, we obviously know he was CGI in the movies, but it's really close, yeah.
You know, a couple episodes ago, we were talking about the Clone Wars, and before we got to see season 7, episode 9, we're kind of like, you know, when you light the firework and you're like, it's all yeep, pow, and you're like, yeah, it was a firework, but we were kind of feeling that way.
Okay, yeah.
This season of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Did we realize that there's a bigger pal coming?
It's a double pal.
Yeah. So I that's we're gonna end up feeling that way. Like, man, you know, season 7 was freaking spectacular. You know what I mean? And all because of the way they're gonna
wrap it up,
tie this up, in a little bow for us. So I'm really excited for it myself, to see what they do. Micah, you mentioned they're gonna have one on May 4th.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they're gonna drop the last 2?
I think so.
One.
I think there's supposed to be 2 left.
Okay. So
this is episode 10, and I think they said 12 episodes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's like you get your episode on Friday, and then obviously May 4th, and the day that day as we revere it with Star Wars fans, May the 4th be with you. They did say they're going to drop that episode, so that should be the finale, which should be kind of in tune with what they did with Rebels, where they have them back to back on Sunday. So if anything, this is just a little bit more separated, but I mean, yeah, it would make sense. Like I said, I'm pretty sure there's supposed to be 2, and I think, you know, of course, we don't know what they're gonna do, but I'd imagine they're gonna want to do like how well Filoni has it written in those little things, you know, to kind of anchor it. Like I said, last time I saw Anakin, he was running out to say the Chancellor. I think they, you know, as well as he's doing that, I think he's gonna want to have this sewn in very well. And so I think there's still a little bit more he can do.
Yeah.
In the context of the 2 episodes that remain, especially since they've also come out and said that they are going to be doing like live action Ahsoka stuff.
Yeah.
And that we also be seeing her in The Mandalorian. So we don't know when the live action Ahsoka stuff is going to be happening. But or we were assuming that she's going to be The Mandalorian, I think. But and Filoni created Ahsoka, so I think he's going to want to do her real justice, and maybe that's going to be the end point of the Clone Wars is really like, what is she's going to be left as to see her?
Seeing her go in hiding.
Yeah, well, I mean, just kind of like, all right, well, I gotta go, you know, hide. I'll see you again in the future, maybe Rex, and then it ends with her shuttle going to this place.
You know, I mean, she could be saying, you know, I'll contact you again. You'll know me by my code name, Fulcrum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and as a matter of fact, that's how that was her code name in when her and Anakin met up again in episode 9, right? So, you know, they thought it was Saw Gerrera using the Fulcrum code name, but it was actually Ahsoka. So maybe that's how, you know, she says that I'm gonna go into hiding, but you'll know it's me when I come out and codename Fulcrum or something like that.
Yeah, because like, isn't the first time we've seen her in Rebels? I mean, she looks like a seasoned traveler.
Yeah,
like it looked like she's been on her own, doing her own type of shit. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, you guys ready to wrap this one up?
Sarah is.
Sarah's
oh, sorry.
So long as we get down the final deets.
We get the details. We have stickers. We do sticker swaps. So send us your stickers, and we will send you some of ours. And we will put your stickers on our banner behind Lewis there.
Slap sticky stuff on it.
We also have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, MySpace, Tinder, and Tim's mail slot.
Yes.
So
How are we spelling out mail?
Well,
That's a-
that
Just
is
like
open
for
to
now.
Interpretation.
Speaking of being open.
Yeah,
Anyway.
it's a Star Wars thing, but no, I'm just kidding.
And that's episode 67. I'm Sarah.
I'm Lewis.
And I'm the other person.
He's
What?
another person.
Thank
And
you.
and for Tim.
And for
Tim's back
Tim.
here.
But his mail slot is ready and willing.
And it's open.
And it's open.
This is gross.
Okay, that's all.